Good evening and a very, very warm welcome, literally speaking, to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's a warm one today, and the action is getting hotter and hotter as the NPL and the State League men's season kicks off, and the Nikon FC Cup really roars into action. My name is Tonci Prusac, folks, and with me, Steve Curtin. Steve, it was a hot one to start the week, was it not?
Sure was, Tonci. Good evening to you and good evening to everyone tuning in. It's definitely hot in here tonight, still after the warm day. And warm day, and got out into the Barwon River this morning, the beautiful Barwon River that it is, for a run along the Troop Loop. And I didn't see Graham Arnold walking his dog, but that could be a little bit controversial at the moment, of course. So we won't speak any further about that. But it was a nice day. It was a nice day in Geelong, and looking forward to covering all of those things from the weekend. As you said, the state leagues, the NPL 2 and 3, the Nike FC Cup, the Australia Cup. And there's so much more to come in the coming next
internationals.
weeks.
Yeah, we're going to talk all about that, folks, later
How are you,
tonight.
mate?
Mate, excited. I love this time of year. My favourite time of the year. As one Geelong Rangers person over the weekend said, we had a friendly, my little boys team, and up there at Myers Reserve yesterday, and how gorgeous was it? The parents of both teams just didn't want to leave afterwards. It was just immaculate weather, and it was just absolutely fantastic. And he goes, "I've woken up this morning like it was Christmas morning," and that's
great.
And that's the general feeling around town.
How's the positivity? This is great.
Absolutely.
It's infectious. Well, hopefully it is. It's the best kind of infectious, is positivity when the weather's nice and everyone's enjoying themselves. Let's keep it going tonight.
It's the start of a new soccer season here in Geelong, and we love it here at the Geelong Region Soccer Show. And speaking of tonight's show, mate, what have we got on the cards tonight? It's going to be a huge, huge show. Who are our guests?
Yeah, well, it's our Lara United special tonight. So we're going to be talking a lot about what's happening out at Lara Recreation Reserve. And you can see on the screen there, we've got our guests, City of Greater Geelong Councillor KYLIE GRZYBEK of the Windermere Ward, and Lara United women's coach RYAN HORROCKS. But that's not all. We've also got another guest as well, haven't we, Tonci?
Yeah, we have indeed. A new organisation is about to hit town and take the futsal world by storm. Geelong Futsal, replacing the old Futsal Geelong, and the managing director of Geelong Futsal, DERMOTT TEBB, he'll be joining us all the way from Ballarat, where he's based in. Some very, very exciting things happening in the world of futsal locally, and about time, I say, and that's going to be fantastic. It's going to be kicking off, well, basically, term 2 is the sort of starting, or when most of the competitions will be starting. We'll be finding out all of that information and a lot more from DERMOTT a little bit later on in the show. But, mate, we're going to get straight into the news desk because there is so much to cover. Before we do that, Steve, a big shout out to our sponsor, our major sponsor for tonight's show. Tonight's show is being sponsored by J Hill Books. There it is, episode 75, in fact, 3/4 of the way to 100. Our season 4. J Hill Books, Judy Hill, who is a phenomenal person. She's involved with the Lara United Football Club. Hence, she's nominated her club to be the focus club, or the club in focus tonight. So we will be featuring Lara United tonight. So thank you to Judy Hill at J Hill Books for sponsoring this week's episode. Mate, you're going to get ready for the news desk, which is coming straight up after this short little intro. Don't go away.
All right. Good evening. This is the news desk for Monday, the 21st of March, 2022 on the Geelong Region Soccer Show. We'll start with the big match that's going to be happening on Thursday night in Sydney, the Socceroos versus Japan. Get that up on the screen now. The match is kicking off at 8:10. That's a depleted Socceroos squad. Of course, we've talked about the inclusion of Bruno Fornaroli last night on the Football Out West show. Of course, Aaron Moy out. Craig Goodwin out. Now Jackson Irvine also ruled out. Tommy Rogic has got a question mark over him. It's going to be a real backs-to-the-wall performance if we're able to get the win against the more fancy Japan, or hopefully We're hearing they might have a few players from their first team ruled out as well, perhaps, and give us a bit of a chance on home soil, maybe. Who knows? Maybe we can spring a surprise. But we need to win this one, and then we need to beat Saudi Arabia the following week as well to get that top 2 spot. Otherwise, we're looking at some playoff games to have a chance of making the World Cup.
No ifs or buts, no excuses. Graham Arnold might be in quarantine or something like that, or he's
been fined. He's been fined, and he's going to have to put some money towards flood relief. Is right? The word from Football Australia at the moment. So right? certainly right to sanction Graham, in my opinion, and. That could have been more severe as well, perhaps. Yeah, so at least it's going to a good cause.
Do you reckon Graham's going to be actually paying for that, or you reckon Soccer Australia will be tipping in the air? All right, let's move on to more things. Well, in a way, closer to home. I was going to say to news that is kind of closer to home, but it kind of is in a way. Steve, tell us about the A-League women.
Yeah, A-League's women's grand final this Sunday, 4:05. You can catch that one on Paramount Plus or Channel 10, as is the case for the aforementioned Socceroos game as well. On your picture there, Kyra Cooney-Cross, we got claiming her as our own Torquay girl. She'll be playing a key role in midfield for the Victory as they look to go back-to-back in a rematch of last year's grand final, which the Victory won 1-0. They finished the home and away season not in the best form, but their finals form has been scintillating. I think Ayres could have scored 5 or 6 goals yesterday. She did end up scoring, thankfully, for the Victory side, and they got through against a slightly depleted Melbourne City, who weren't having the best of time in that game. So, good luck to the Victory in the final, and I'm sure all of Geelong will be cheering for Kyra Cooney-Cross in that match. So that's Sunday, 4:00, 4:05 is the kickoff.
Yeah. Now, last night we spoke regarding the A-League. So the A-League women and the A-League men, it's all under the one banner. But the CEO of the Australian Professional Leagues, the man who oversees all of this, spoke with us last night on the Football Out West show. Brilliant interview, folks. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that, Danny Townsend was the man. Make sure you do jump on the Football Out West the Football Out West YouTube channel or the Football Out West Facebook page. And actually, it was a simulcast on the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page. So right here, if you're tuning in on our Facebook page, also jump onto that as well. But mate, just very
look how excited we look there as well.
Yeah, we do. I know that just happens to be a still of last night's show. But very quickly, what were some of the things that you took out of the interview with Danny Townsend, Steve?
Look, he's a good. What can I say? He's a very good professional. He's a good speaker. He didn't jump at the big issues right away, I would say, but he did eventually allude to, I think, some of the things that were of interest in the comments were particularly things like the active fans and the support for them and the over-officious security and police, things like that. Another takeaway for me is my ongoing frustration of coming home, wanting to watch a replay of a match from the A-League and it's not available until a day later. Yeah. Things like that happening. Obviously, the pause and rewind not being available too on Paramount Plus. But it sounds like we will have those things. If not at the end of the season, we'll have them next season, and then at least we can look forward to that and getting that right, because we need to get that right, obviously, to engage fans.
Yeah, you go on the Clutch TV app, which is the one that covers the NPL, and there's about 5 NPL competitions part of that and growing. Mate, you can within minutes, really, you can watch a replay of a goal or a highlight or something that was played. And that's Clutch.
That's
TV.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Amazing. Yeah,
we don't have, but the Paramount hasn't got it. It's crazy.
It's insane, actually, not just crazy. But Townsend did mention a really, really good point where he did say it is about to go global because Paramount Plus is an actual kind of a global thing that's owned in America, and there's more resources going to be thrown at the actual content production of the show and the quality of it. So that will be interesting. Speaking of the A-League, I guess, another Geelong local, I guess. Well, he's not a Geelong local anymore, but he's a Geelong boy through and through. John Diddle. He'll be appearing at something very interesting this coming weekend, Steve.
Yeah, we've got the Brimbank Writers and Readers Festival. So that's the 17th to the 26th of March there. Join author and football identity John Didalitza for an informative talk about the role of football in Australian society, inspired by one of the most highly rated sports podcast series, Football Belongs. And that is a fantastic series. And I think there's some more content coming out with Football Belongs soon. So yeah, stay in tune for that one. That should be a good talk there. He's a very good speaker, of course, John Didalitza, and that will be an engaging one. But also, it might be a chance to hear from him coming up on another night as well.
Yeah. So Wednesday night on the Crow Soccer Show, which is a sister program of the Geelong Region Soccer Shows. He will be appearing on the show to talk about his book, Football Belongs, talk about some of those stories that have made such a big impression on Australian, not just Australian football history, but Australian society in general as well. And he'll obviously be talking about his appearance there at the Brimbank Writers Festival, which is absolutely fantastic. It just goes to show that and we talked about this with Roy Hay, I think last year, that just not enough football stories and yarns being documented, but there's one of our locals who's getting involved in that, and it's mainstreaming the story, mainstreaming the history of Australian football. So kudos to John. That's going to be awesome, and that will be on this Wednesday night on the Crow Soccer Show podcast. Mate, we're going to take a very, very quick break. A couple of words from our sponsors. When we return, Steve, we've got heaps and heaps of news and stories to talk about the weekend just gone by. Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that. Don't go away, folks. Books, so you can focus on your core business. J Hill Bookkeeping's owner, operator, and senior bookkeeper Judy Hill has always worked in administration. Based in Lara, the world of cloud accounting, however, means that clients can be based anywhere within Australia. Currently, J Hill Bookkeeping services clients from Lara, Geelong, the Bellarine Peninsula and Melbourne. You won't need to come home from working all day and start on paperwork. You can spend your time in other productive areas, such as marketing or quoting, or even better, come home and switch off. Let J Hill Bookkeeping take the stress out of running a small business and allow you to enjoy watching your business go to the next level. For more information, visit our website at www.jhillbooks.com.au, or better yet, call us on 0402 469 243 or email us at info@jhillbooks.com.au. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. It's episode 75 or season 4, episode 3. And how the years go by and how the episodes go by, Steve.
That's it.
We're talking about the start of a new year, start of a new season. And let's talk about some of the games or all of the games that happened over the weekend.
Yep. Well, hopefully the season doesn't go by as fast as we were just describing that then. So we start with some results from the weekend because the NPL 2 and 3 and the men's state leagues also resumed. Let's start with the NPL 2 and 3 results. We'll get them up on the screen in a minute. It wasn't good news for either of our sides, North Geelong and Geelong, both going down. North Geelong falling to a 2-0 loss at Northcote, while Geelong travelling to Ballarat City went down a 1-0 as well. So not the best start that they wanted, but tough conditions out there in the heat on Saturday afternoon. I'm sure that they'll be looking to bounce back. They've got some good opportunities to bounce back in the Cup and in the league. So we'll touch on that shortly. Should we move into the State League results, which is headlined by KYLIE? Oh, sorry, there's the fixtures coming up there.
Yeah, we'll look at that. So both North Geelong and Geelong have got home games this weekend.
Yep, Saturday evening games.
Yeah, Saturday evening. So they're both kicking off at the a slightly later time, which means that a lot of those 3 p.m. kickoff games will be over by then. So you can expect a bit of a mad dash across town or wherever the case may be, and you can take in, the North Geelong Warriors at 5 p.m. or Geelong at 6 p.m. Or you might take one half of the North Geelong game and then get in time for the Geelong game, or whatever the case may be. But lots happening there, obviously. So looking forward to that. Before that, though, both those teams will be involved in home ties midweek. We'll talk about that a bit later on, but let's have a look at the State League results. Steve, let's go through them.
Yeah, so it was KYLIE going up to the Italia club, getting a 2-2 with the Brimbank Stallions, with Lorenzo Princigali scoring a free kick and the Canadian Mackenzie Roach scoring as well in that one, 2-2. In State 2, it wasn't such a good day for Rangers, who went down 4-0 against Westgate. Moving into State 4, Bell Park were up against that team that dominated State 5 last season, KYLIE Wolves, and KYLIE Wolves came away in a thriller with a 3-2 win there at the Bell Park Sports Club. Golden Plains are scoring goals. Just going back previously, the goals for Bell Park were Nikola Jovanovic and Nick Nugent with a penalty. Yeah, at Golden Plains, 2 goals, Ryan Baldaccio and also Grozdanovsky scoring, but they couldn't contain Westside strikers Caroline Springs, who scored 4 times, unfortunately, there for the side from Bannockburn. Better result for Surf Coast, 4-1 against Spring Hills. It was Jack Banks scoring a double, Nathan Cook with his first goal for the club, and John Serra also scoring as well. So really good start to the season in State 4 for Surf Coast. Barwon got the bragging rights in the local derby in State 5 with a 2-0 win courtesy of 2 Milton Bailey goals. Also in State 5, Lara United and Surfside Waves are on the wrong end of results from Balmoral and Melton Phoenix, respectively, and be looking to bounce back next week.
Yeah. So speaking of next week, there are the fixtures in State League, and let's go through some of those results.
The fixtures, a lot of home games next weekend too, and I'm just looking at the forecast, 22 degrees and fine next Saturday, so beautiful. Perfect weather next Saturday for these games. KYLIE, they're off to Yarraville Glory, so a tricky challenge there again on the road. Geelong Rangers hosting Hume United, another tough one there for them. Also, Golden Plains have got a tricky one hosting KYLIE Wolves. Bell Park, we're looking to get the points against Melbourne City. Surf Coast looking to go 2 from 2 against Truganina Hornets. Deakin Ducks looking to get the win against Maidstone United, who were defeated by Bendigo City last weekend. And speaking of, Lara United will host Bendigo City, who played their first game in State 5 last week and got that win. Lara United looking to get their first points. Surfside Waves also looking for their first points against West Point. And Barwon are up to the Vic Uni Sporting Complex to try and get another win from their game against Wyndham FC.
Yeah, so a lot of home games there. A great opportunity for Geelong supporters to get out, really enjoy this delightful autumn weather at the moment, and take in a game or two. As we said, all of those games kick off at 3 p.m. And then we've got the NPL 2 and NPL 3 fixtures kicking off that a little bit later on. Now, the Nike FC Cup, 3 out of the Geelong clubs have progressed through to the next round. Steve, let's go through those results.
Yeah, Geelong getting the 5-2 win in a real high scorer there on the synthetic at leisure time yesterday, 5-2. Michaelia Steyer, recent guest of the show, was finding the back of the net on 15 minutes, so it must be a good form line. If you come on the show, you end up scoring goals. And then a couple of goals for M. Sutcliffe and Eri Yashimita, also with 2 goals, the Japanese player for Galaxy there. So good result there. North Geelong banging in the goals again, 11-0 over the Yarra Jets. Lara Herrich with 5, Marcella Fiero with 2, Louisa Kump with 2, Zoe Tizard and Miller Parkin also on the score sheet there. So good result. For Geelong Rangers, 1-1 in regular time and extra time, with Anna Bilic scoring the goal, then going on to win on penalties 4-1. So a jubilant night it was there at it was at Keilor Park Recreation Reserve, and you can see the huddle there. There's a lot of enthusiasm there, and why wouldn't there be after a win on penalties in the cup? Yeah,
no, it was a fantastic result. 16-year-old Anna Bilic scoring there. I don't know if that was on debut, but a talent there in the making.
Yeah,
that was a great result without a shadow of a doubt. And North Geelong Warriors, they have been accepted into State League 1. So that's a big boost for North Geelong Warriors and the region as well. Basically what happened was, to get into State 1, you need to field a reserves team. And I think they've got their under-18 team in the Metropolitan competition. They're going to be using that team as their reserves team. But there's a lot of teams in State 2 who are unable to basically jump up to State 1 because of that fact. Yeah, look, that's great news for the region. And it's just good to see those 4 women's teams there. Lara United, unfortunately, lost out to a very strong Caroline Springs George Cross 3-0 last night. And we'll find out all about that when we speak to RYAN HORROCKS, the coach of the Lara United team, a little later on. But they had an absolutely fantastic run in the Nike FC Cup. But look, all of a sudden, you've got 4 very, very strong women's teams in the Geelong region, and hopefully more to come as well. But yeah, that's just brilliant, and it now gives young ladies in Geelong lots and lots of different opportunities to go from from one club or one team to another. And if one particular team isn't to your liking, or if you've had a fallout with the coach, you don't have to give up the game like it has happened in the past. There are other options there as well. But it's great to see all of those Geelong clubs flying the flag for the local football community. Great to see.
Absolutely.
Mate, we've also got
We've got
news
the Australia.
Yes.
With the Australia Cup. Are we on to that one next?
We are indeed, yeah.
There we go. So we've got Geelong and Heidelberg United facing off. That's tomorrow night at Stead Park at 7:30 in the Australia Cup. So hopefully they can draw a bit of a crowd there. And it's going to be a very tough game against Heidelberg, who started the season terribly in the NPL 1, 3 losses, only 1 goal in the first 3 games. They've turned the corner, 2 wins in a row. I saw them firsthand on Friday night, and they were very impressive with a good group of experienced players. A couple of youngsters in there as well, and we might see some more of the youngsters getting minutes in that game, I fancy, against Geelong. But yeah, good luck to our local club, Geelong, in that match. And
George,
can they cause a cup set? Hopefully they can.
Well, you never know, mate. You never know. George Katsakis, the Heidelberg United coach, was on the Football Out West show last night, coincidentally. And he said it's always a tough gig to come down to Geelong, particularly midweek. But what makes it even harder is, look, I think it was last year, was it, or the year before, they actually lost to an NPL 3 side. Now, was it Warren? I can't remember.
I think it might have happened last year, yeah.
Was it last year, was it? Yeah. And that's going to be interesting. That is really going to be interesting. Look, Geelong, at the Lions Den, I guess, they're going to make things difficult. So tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m, game will eventually be played under lights when the sun goes down. That's the place to be tomorrow night. And on Wednesday night, all roads lead to Alco Park. Steve.
Yeah, that's right. It's Alco Park hosting. It's actually drawn as a home game for Moreland City. I think Campbell Reserve hasn't got the adequate lighting for this one. Yep. So this will be played at Alco Park, North Geelong Warriors against Moreland City. 2 NPL 2 clubs going at it for a spot in the next round, which would be the 5th round of the Australia Cup. So good luck to North Geelong. I think it's a real 50-50 this game, who gets through, and that home ground advantage might just shade it for North, and they might get through.
Yeah. So a lot of football happening over the next few weeks, days, I suppose.
Yeah, and also Corayo's got their tie the following week as well in the cup. That's I've lost who that's against, but that's also coming up the following week as well.
Yeah,
Valentino will have it. Yeah.
I think I can't remember off the top of my head who they're playing as well.
He's asking, is it next week? Yes, it is next week. Yeah,
yes, it is next week. I just can't remember who it's against. Actually, that's a very, very good opportune time now to mention who our club in focus for next week is going to be. Coincidentally, or ironically, or whatever you want to call it, it is Corayo Soccer Club. So a big shout out to Corayo Soccer Club.
And it is Eltham Redbacks away.
Eltham Redbacks,
on Tuesday, the 29th. Yeah, it was just evading me. Yeah.
So we'll have next week's special show devoted to Corayo Soccer Club, and it'll be a great preview into that Australia Cup tie. Don't go away, folks. You're tuning in to episode 75 of the Geelong Region Soccer Show. When we return, it is time for tonight's Club in Focus, and we're going to be featuring Geelong's northernmost club, Lara United. Don't go away, folks. So you can focus on your core business. J Hill Bookkeeping's owner, operator and senior bookkeeper Judy Hill has always worked in finance administration. Based in Lara, the world of cloud accounting, however, means that clients can be based anywhere within Australia. Currently, J Hill Bookkeeping services clients from Lara, Geelong, the Bellarine Peninsula and Melbourne. You won't need to come home from working all day and start on paperwork. You can spend your time in other productive areas, such as marketing or quoting, or even better, come home and switch off. Let J Hill Bookkeeping take the stress out of running a small business and allow you to enjoy watching your business go to the next level. For more information, visit our website at www.jhillbooks.com.au, or better yet, call us on 0402 469 243 or email us at info@jhillbooks.com.au. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show, and a big shout out and big thank you to J Hill Books, Judy Hill there at J Hill Books. They are tonight's episode sponsor, and they have indeed nominated Lara United as their club in focus. Steve, it's an absolute pleasure. We've had this lady on before. She's always a welcome guest on our show, but we've had her as in her capacity as the councillor of the City of Greater Geelong. Tonight, she's not the councillor, she's the secretary of the Lara United Football Club. Absolute pleasure to introduce KYLIE GRZYBEK. KYLIE, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Thank you for once again joining us. Lara United, I was out there on Saturday actually to take in a little bit of the men's senior game. And we saw last night as well was the Nike FC Cup, which we'll talk to RYAN HORROCKS. He's coming on a little bit later on. But what I was absolutely, I won't say gobsmacked, because I've been there quite a fair few times in the last few years and I've seen the development happening. But I was actually on the outer watching a good sized crowd there, watching the football, and I'm thinking, wow, this facility has certainly come along in leaps and bounds. You guys must be really proud of what you've done in such a short time.
Yeah, we've gone from 10 years or so ago having the ATCO huts where we had nowhere to get changed, and that was the room, that was the change room, and all of the above. And we've actually really been able to work with our sponsor. Our major sponsor, Bizanella Developments, and we've got a platinum sponsor, Hodges, who have really stuck through us through COVID, and we've been able to put in a bit more infrastructure and really fencing, goals for the mini roos and all those sorts of things, which has enabled us to really move as a club.
There we go. See some footage there, and like I said, yep, you can see some. I mean, I'll tell you what, there's State 1, State 2 clubs will be, very envious of facilities like that.
We've had some, we've applied for some grants as well from cities. So, I think we've been, trying to do our best to, as a club, really make sure that we can have the facilities to draw people in.
Now, KYLIE, you had the lighting upgrade and everything happening recently. Is that the most recent advancement that we've seen in the infrastructure there, and what's likely to come next?
Yeah, so the lighting upgrade was a real game changer for us at Lara United. It enabled us to host games like we did last night, 7:00 game for our State League women playing in the Nike Cup. It was a fantastic atmosphere, and it really drew the crowd to support them. We've had new goals made for the mini roos on wheels, so we can wheel them in and out instead of having to put the plastic ones together on a Sunday morning for the mini roos. So we're trying to make sure that every facet of the club is covered by our really big support. I mean, and Judy Hill, is our treasurer, but she's also a major sponsor for us as well. Sort of platinum sponsor, and making sure that we're well looked after.
And KYLIE, just by looking at the some of those advertising signs there's a Bizanella one there, Bendigo Bank as well. Obviously, the local community is really getting behind Lara United in a big way, and that's great to see. And we see a lot of people, a lot of Melbourne people moving to the area. to Lara. It's such an expanding place, a growing place. Has that had positive implications on the club itself and the growth of the club itself becoming really recognised in the local community, as well as being that real go-to place for people moving to the region?
Yeah, it's both an opportunity and also a downfall, because we're actually full, and trying to get coaches is one of the hardest things for the mini roos and the junior teams. We've had to cap our entrance on how many teams we've got and how many kids we can have playing because of the ability to be. It's been really popular. We're at our pre-COVID numbers this year. So we've actually clawed back the amount of players that we have registered, which is a really good thing. But unfortunately, I think like most areas, volunteers are hard to come by. And so how do you balance that, wanting to grow and to give every kid that comes along an opportunity versus making sure we've got the quality there to grow the sport?
And what's the climate like at the club at the moment, KYLIE, with getting like senior players to put their hand up and do a bit of coaching and that sort of thing? Is that something that you're encouraging or is already happening, which can foster some really good cultural developments within a club?
Yeah, I think Lara, we've pretty much done it for a while now, but it's really improved. Especially, I've got to call out my husband, who's the president. He provides that culture build at the club for the last couple of years. And I think, kudos to all of the presidents before him. But to build on it now, we've got, a new coaching team in the State League men's side, Eric Lawrence, Ennis Aaron, really building that culture of not only just getting the boys onto the park, but actually making sure that they're there. They're now on the committee. They're now working in the canteen. They're now, making sure that things are tidy and making sure that the rooms are left for everybody to use. And that's permeating through the whole club, not just the men, but the women, the juniors and the mini roos.
Great to see, and it really, really is good. We were talking a little bit off air about how a lot of people now, a lot of players, local players as well, and they're really surprised with how far Lara's come. And I speaking to some of the senior players there whom I know personally, they were saying that at first there's this little bit of a hesitancy about going there, but once they go there, they really enjoy the atmosphere and they really enjoy that almost like that community within a community. I mean, I live in Lara, and we go on about how Lara is its own little community, but within the community of Geelong, and that must be one of those things that I guess in State 5 you can't lure players with big money signings and things like that. But sometimes there's things that are more important than money, like that community spirit. That must be a real positive for the club.
That's absolutely, Tonci, that's absolutely what we're doing. We're building that culture within the club. We want the players to come to us because of the culture, and we want them to play good football while they're there. We often say that, we might win or lose on the pitch, but in fact, the ability to then to sort of, have the players and the fans come back in the rooms afterwards and really socialise. We've had quite a few teams over the last sort of 12 months actually stay with us and enjoy the social part of it as well. We want to be fighting at the top of the table, don't misunderstand, but you've got to build that culture and that camaraderie between the teams. We're a fairly new club in terms of in the north. There's a couple of clubs that have been around for a lot longer than us, but I really feel that with what we had with Johnny Karunas in the last few years, and now Eric and Ennis taking that mantle from John, I really think from the boys' perspective, they're really enjoying just being part of the club. And look, you'll speak to Ryan a little bit later, so I won't steal his thunder about how the women are going. But I just feel at the moment now's the time to be there, really.
Yeah.
KYLIE, is there maybe an added air of professionalism being driven from the committee at the moment? And I say this because looking at the Facebook page of the club this week, that there's some new training jerseys that look very professional, look like they could be sold in a merchandise store, no problems. And on the back of them, there is no shortage of sponsorship names on the back of them either, I must say. So clearly it's a big deal, this Lara United club at the moment out there in the town, that people are really getting behind it. But also it looks like a very professional outfit when you see these images like this.
Yeah, we may have a small committee, but we're achieving big things. And again, under Paul's leadership, we've made some big decisions this year around infrastructure and also around kit. It's never easy to change a kit supplier, but we saw a good partnership there with Kovo, and they've delivered so far, as far as we can see. So look, and it always permeates from the top. And I suppose he's my husband, so I can't really be unbiased about it. But I think with the committee that we've got, they're absolutely amazing. Everyone has their role, and we're really, really supportive of the club going forward.
Yeah, there are some of those kits there on display. The women's team there, and then we had the men's team earlier. But just looking at those pictures, the players from both those teams going through their pre-match warm-ups, it just oozes of professionalism. The look is professional. I mean, and you have a look at this, you could say, well, this could be a State 1, State 2 side, no problems. And hopefully, well, in the women's case, it is a State 2 side, and they're doing better than the blokes who are in State 5, if you don't mind me saying. But it just looks good, and that whole level of professionalism just seems to have been taken to a whole new level. KYLIE, apart from that, I guess it's off the field. You talked about community as well, and the fundraisers are some of the most important things. And knowing personally some of the folks there involved in the fundraising committee, they do a brilliant job. We're going to bring up one of the big events that are coming up. Tell us more about this.
So we've got the fabulous Michelle Harvey and the rest of the crew, as our fundraising coordinator. And every year she tries to outdo the year before. And the reverse raffle was one of those ones that we had to put off last year because of COVID. So we're bringing it back early in the season. And look, I think Michelle will also be looking to do trivia nights and all of those sorts of things that most clubs really rely on that sort of fundraising to come in to really do those things like the kit and like, making sure we've got the right kit for the little juniors as well, running around. You've got the balls, you've got everything you need. So we've got a really good but small committee that are dedicated to making sure everyone has some fun as well as some good soccer being played. And yes, our women are our marquee. They are our top rating players at the club, and we recognise that, and we're invested in women for the long haul. We don't just want to have them because they bring infrastructure. They are a dedicated and integral part of our culture.
Absolutely. So there's a reverse raffle. Saturday, 26th of March, doors open, 6 p.m. for a 7:30 p.m. start. You can contact Michelle on 0419 377 349. Look at some of those prizes. First prize, $1,000. Second prize, $500. And third prize, $250. You might be able to fill your car halfway with petrol by winning some of those prizes. Oh, goodness me. David Anderson, he's just popped on and said, well done, Lara FC, great culture. And there you go. David, who was heavily involved with North Geelong Warriors for many, many years, he's followed his daughter who plays there at Lara United. And Ando is getting involved with the women's side of things at Lara United. So it's good to see. Like I said, a lot of people coming from other clubs as well to Lara United. NS Erin as well, a Corio Soccer Club former player, and he's involved there. So really good to see things just moving in a positively forward direction, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And we're very lucky to have Anderson this year as our goalkeeping coach for the club, and already seeing some really fast improvement for us. So yeah, we're on the good trajectory. That's
the way. KYLIE, Steve, have you got any questions for KYLIE, or that's it?
I don't really, because I think it's time to. Ryan's in the green room and he's very keen to get on. But is there any other final announcements from yourself and your committee that you would like to make while you're on tonight?
Oh, look, we do have a couple of spots left for our under 13, 14 boys team. We do need a few more players just to round out that team. So I would put the call out if anybody would like to have a run. We really want that team to get up and about. And it is at the moment being coached by one of our senior players who's injured, Bobby. So we would really love for that to get up and about. We really appreciate everybody's, locked in with COVID, but now's the time to get out and about. So just a call out, if anybody wants to play, please feel free to contact the club.
There you go, folks. If there's anyone in the northern suburbs or even in the southern suburbs, normally you get coached by a dad or a mum that are very, very enthusiastic. But in this case, you're going to get coached by a senior footballer. So there's a lot of incentive there. KYLIE, thank you for joining us. And probably next time we get you on, we'll get you talking. We're wearing your other hat, the counsellor hat. There's quite a fair bit happening there in the football sense there from a strategic point of view. But we'll leave that for another day. We wish you and Lara United all the very best for season 2022, and let's hope it's an uninterrupted one in 2022.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for putting on a great show. We really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure.
Thanks, KYLIE, and good luck for the season.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
KYLIE GRZYBEK, the Secretary of Lara United Football Club. Steve, when we return after this short break, we'll be speaking with the head coach of the Lara United senior women's team, RYAN HORROCKS. Don't go away, folks. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show, folks, and it is an absolute pleasure to now have our next guest, and he is the coach of the senior women's team, RYAN HORROCKS. RYAN, it's an absolute pleasure having you on the Geelong Region Soccer Show, and welcome for another year.
Thanks, yeah, another year. It's good to be back again. Yeah. Although I think elephant in the room, I don't think I've ever been on after a loss. We haven't had too many, so yeah, might go a little bit different this time.
Might be, but you talk about again that's continuity, and that's been one of the trademarks of the Lara United Women's Club, the continuity of the coaching, and generally the players as well staying there as well. But we did mention David Anderson, Ando, who's come on board there in a coaching capacity, I think with one of the junior teams as well. But you seem to have a great support cast there. And there's a community women's team as well. So tell us a bit more about some of the other coaches that are involved with the Lara United women's setup there this year.
Yeah, so David's come on as the goalkeeper coach for the club, which is really good. So obviously, part of the juniors as well, and obviously our group, the senior men too. It's something that the club's been looking for a long time. I think it's really important. It's so overlooked, and you know how it is in community clubs. There's only so much a coach can do at any given time. You get 15 players at a training session, only one, maybe two are a goalkeeper. So to have that specific time set out for a keeper when normally it might be a passing walk or something else is really going to be important for us, I think, this year. And I'll be really excited to see what kind of difference that makes on field. We've got two of our senior State League women's players taking the local team, Sam King and Hannah Gauchi. So I think that's going to make us really, really unique again. I suppose there's so many clubs wanting women's teams and asking for players when they're going to come down and be, I suppose, part of the creation of a culture and showing that club the ropes in terms of how women's football looks and is a little bit different to something they might know already. Whereas anyone that's going to come down to Lara in the local team this year is going to be the beneficiary of, an existing culture.
Now, Ryan, let's talk about last night's game against Caroline Springs George Cross. Were they what you expected? Did they bring a lot of intensity later in the game? Because we know that you held them to 0-0 for a long period, and then eventually they kicked away.
Yeah, so the start of that second half was really difficult. They did exactly what they had been doing, and we went out a little bit more aggressive. I suppose we just wanted to take the game on a little bit. We thought we were probably the better side. I think the teams were quite evenly matched on the night. on paper, we probably looked the better side, and we went forward a little bit, and we were caught out in behind because of that. And it just so happened to happen 3 times in a row for them in a 5-minute period at the start of the second half. We made a couple of changes after that, and unfortunately it was just a little bit too late. But it was our first proper hit out of the preseason. We haven't had a game since a couple of Tuesdays ago against Galaxy, and it always feels different in a midweek compared to a proper competitive game or a weekend anyway. It wasn't to plan, but they've had a really good cup campaign. We had a fantastic cup campaign last season that we were really proud of. I suppose now Caroline Springs are going to get their turn, and we know obviously locally Rangers, Galaxy, North, they're all still in it. Rangers obviously are the ones that we would compare to us in terms of having already won those first 3 games and pushing through into round 4. So I suppose it's their turn now, and we've just got to do some hard work in looking for some opponents and getting back to some really good training sessions, getting ready for round 1.
Yeah, you did mention it was kind of a real kind of I guess a sort of a disjointed preseason, because a lot of clubs forfeited against you guys, and I know, speaking to you off air a few weeks ago, you're really lamenting the fact that no one wanted to play you guys. Is it hard getting opponents in even for preseason friendlies at the moment? Because it seems to me a lot of the clubs kind of want to keep their cards close to their chest, and it's really when it comes to things like cup fixtures. But even then, a lot of these players early in the season are unavailable, so you really don't know much about your opponents going into the league season proper, don't you?
Yeah, we know little, and we don't particularly want to play any State 2 Northwest teams in the build up to the season. But I suppose it gets a bit difficult because those are the only teams within our vicinity.
Yeah.
That's the only teams that really are interested in playing us, because we've seen it before how good North Geelong were last season in State League 3, and the gap, I suppose, from mid-table where Georgies were last year and anything below that is probably a bit too big to warrant any sort of competitive pre-season friendly. So you're looking for teams anywhere above that. So teams from the southeast don't necessarily want to travel to Geelong, and Geelong-based teams don't really want to play against you because, again, there's that gap or whatever the case. And it's the same for us. We played against Galaxy, and that's a hard task, given the gap between State League 2 and VPLW. But, yeah, those are the sorts of decisions we have to make just to do that in the preseason, just to be sure we can get on the park. That's definitely the biggest obstacle of being a Geelong-based State League team right now in the women.
Now, Ryan, what does the home look like at the moment? I'm just looking at Sports TG now myself and not finding a lot of information. Do you have any content on what you can expect? I assume, like you mentioned, State League 2 Northwest will be your division. Do you know when round 1 will be?
Yeah, we do. It's the week after Easter. That's about all we know at the moment.
Yeah.
I think it was a bit. I think it was very intentional from Football Victoria to send out their draft structure on a Google Drive so they could delete it whenever they were ready.
Oh, right, eh?
That went down pretty quickly as soon as I was looking for it. Just to make some friendlies, to see who was around us, and I didn't want to play anyone from our league. But yeah, that was gone and vanished a month ago. So, we had that same off obviously as North Geelong, and I'm really pleased for North Geelong. They're more than ready. They're capable. They're putting a lot of resources into women's football, and it's really good to see them, pushing back to get up there. They're trying to get promoted and, do it the hard way, play the journey. It's fantastic. So that'll be great for them. And, unfortunately, we weren't in a position to take that on short notice with the whole reserve situation, the biggest one. And we've been in State League 1 a couple of years ago. We finished, quite low on the table a few years in a row, and we were offered that spot to stay up there again, but we decided to take that relegation a few years ago. That's obviously when my old man Tony was in charge. And that was when the decision was made, I suppose, just by the club, and we wanted it to be part of our culture to know we're going to earn where we're going to be. We're not just going to take it, and that's what we're going to go with.
Yeah. Now, I guess the building blocks are in place, though, Ryan. This year, for the first time in a long, long time, KYLIE GRZYBEK, the secretary, prior to you just mentioned, Lara is going to have a local community-based team. So I guess that's the first step in having a reserves team or a de facto reserves team. But it's David Anderson says, well done, Lara FC, great culture. And I guess it's that culture that's slowly going to start to build it. And then the juniors coming up through the ranks. in a year, in 2 years' time, is that something, if Lara gets in that position where they could earn promotion to State 1, is that something that is definitely on the cards from the club's perspective?
Oh, 100%. And I think, in
Great to hear.
August, maybe even earlier, I suppose, when and if you're going to get promoted potentially, and you can start to make those decisions then. Being asked in March is never convenient really for most clubs. You can start to make those sorts of moves. And we know that the Reserves League isn't a competitive one and there's no trophy or anything like that for that reason. We just want to get people in and have a go, and get a good run for the seniors that are starting on the bench and everything like that. But that's definitely there. We've got under 15 girls at the moment, and they're only a few years away. Like you said at the start of the show, North will have to play their under 18s, which is great. Again, the more, in my opinion, the more senior game time a young female player can get, the absolute better. Because we've seen how some of the best players right now, Steve, you mentioned Kyra Cooney-Cross before, the best female players in this country are young players always. So the sooner the better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And speaking of some of those fine young players that you've got there at your club, you had some prolific goal scorers last season, including Izzy Wilkinson, Sophie Rasmara, to name a couple. Have you retained your star players from last season and maybe even added any other new talent to the squad?
Yeah, they're all stars. Particularly the ones that have come. Sophie's left. She's moved on. She's finished off her university degree. She's off at Clifton Hill this year, so we're wishing her all the best. Likely that we won't cross paths, but good luck to her. Rachel Zara, obviously, she's off at Geelong Rangers. We've got Vivian Lau. She's moved off to New South Wales. She's playing at Queen's Park Rangers out there. So we've got a few players that have moved on. Jazz Varagi's playing local. So we've had to pick up. It's 3 new players that have not been to Lara before, and 3 that have returned. So it was shared on our Facebook page last night who made their debuts. It was Monica, Caitlin, and Monica returned with Jess and Georgie, who used to play with us in juniors. And Caitlin, Lily, and Michaela made their Lara debuts. So it is a bit of a change up, but I think that's been a really big step. We only had Sophie as our new inclusion in 2021. So it was still very much under the old kind of the old team, I suppose, that Dad had. So we're taking this opportunity to try and develop something new. And I think part of last night's result comes back to that. You're trying to build something and change something that's been in place for nearly a decade. It's going to take some time to show success on the playing field. We see it really well in training. They respond really well to the new structure and the new game plan. But yeah, it's going to take some time on the field, I think.
Now we're seeing the emergence, and courtesy of a family connection there at Geelong Rangers, we're seeing the emergence of a 4th strong women's team in Geelong Rangers, who this year are set to enter State 4, State 3. We don't know yet, as you say. We're still waiting from Football Victoria. But that is fantastic, and Steve and I just mentioned that we've got 4 now fully fledged strong women's senior teams in Geelong playing in the Melbourne competitions. The first thing I think of that is a female version of the Addy Cup or the Geelong Community Cup, and come next year you could have a fully fledged pre-season tournament. Next year, the World Cup, it's going to be a big boost, obviously, for football, for women's football, but football in general. But can you see something like that now becoming an integral part of the Geelong football calendar, a pre-season fair income women's cup tournament along the lines of the Geelong Community Cup?
Yeah, I suppose so. I think that would be really good. Obviously, we talked a bit about that gap between the teams. I think it's tightened in a little bit, and Rangers are going to have a good team this year, and North have pushed their way through. But the gap, I suppose, between the bottom end and the top end being Galaxy, and being able to have the exemptions for players and things like that in VPL would always mean that you have to put in some kind of restraints, like they do in the men's version for the NPL teams, North and Geelong. But yeah, I think so. If it was done in the right way, I think players need some adequate preparation or knowledge that's going to happen. I think everyone gets excited this time of year. It's always a little bit too late to organise anything like this. And then, in November, December, no one's willing to do any of that heavy lifting. But if those decisions are made then, October, September, whenever it is, people know that by January you need to be in full swing of pre-season, so that in the first week of February, the middle of February, whatever, you've got a tournament on, and it's one that anyone would want to take seriously. So that's what would have to happen. I think people would have to take their pre-season hats off for a second and yeah, put in a couple extra weeks' work.
It would be good to see, I think. And
Yeah.
we saw a bit of a lightning tournament a couple of years ago, I think 2020 out at Stead Park. There was a women's component to the Community Cup as well that the Galaxy beat North Geelong in the final. So bring that back, I say. But we haven't talked about you yourself, Ryan, very much tonight. Let's do that now. As a young coach in our region, do you feel satisfied with the coaching development opportunities that are available? And how do you see yourself where you're at with your coaching development?
Yeah, I suppose. I think coaching development in this part of the world is really independent. You've got to do a lot of your own work. You've got to be really driven to take time out of your own personal life to either not just watch the sport. I suppose anyone can turn on the telly and watch the sport, but read and research and have conversations with people and be open-minded. And let them talk to you more than you talk to them, because especially as a young coach, you want to make sure you're receiving all that information. It's all well and good and easy in the moment to just start kind of giving out your own information. But yeah, taking a backward step, I think, is the best way for me to get my own coach development. Other than that, I suppose certificate-wise, it's a little bit of a stretch with the FFA. They took financially, number one, for any kind of normal person to go and get not just a certificate, because that's all well and good to put on your resume and say I'm qualified, but actually just the experience and a week's worth of education for someone to go and teach you. So that's why it is all independent.
I love how you say any normal person in this day and age. Are there any normal people left?
I think so. No one's affording certificates with petrol prices, to tell you that for free time.
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? Mate, look, we've got a comment here from Lisa Jurich. She is the general manager of Caroline Springs George Cross, and she's got a great compliment for Lara United FC. Great people, very welcoming and hospitable towards our supporters last night and in the lead up to the game. Best of luck in the season. Thank you, Lisa Jurich, who was obviously there at Lara Recreation Reserve last night.
I was pleasantly surprised by the turnout for a Sunday night for their supporters as well. Really good. The players and the coaches as well on the bench. Just really phenomenal people out there. So well done to them. I hope they go far and do well for the rest of the cup.
A good club, a very good club, Caroline Springs George Cross. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Wishing you all the very, very best. And hopefully later on in the year, we'll be able to get you back on, and Lara United will be in a promotion-seeking position, and we'll be able to talk about next season and what you're not. But all the very, very best, and looking forward to catching up with you throughout the season.
Fingers crossed. Thanks, Tonci. Thanks, Steve. Have a good one, guys.
Good luck, Ryan. Thank you.
Good on you. That was RYAN HORROCKS, the senior women's coach out at Lara United. Mate, we've got heaps to still get through. And we're going to go straight to our next guest. Steve, would you like to do the introduction for this one?
Yeah, we've got waiting in the green room, Managing Director of Geelong Futsal, a new entity, DERMOTT TEBB, who's live from Ballarat tonight. Good evening to you, DERMOTT. Thanks for your time, and let's talk futsal in Geelong. Where are we at, and what have we got to look forward to in the future?
Hi, Steve. Tonci, thanks for having me on. Really exciting that futsal will be back going in Geelong in just a couple of weeks now. So lots to look forward to for the rest of this year.
DERMOTT, let's take a step back and talk about Geelong Futsal as opposed to the old organisation that was Futsal Geelong. How did it come about that Geelong Futsal now is going to be running or looking after futsal in Geelong? It's good news, great news, and tell us the background to the developments there. Yeah,
sure. So I've obviously managed the futsal here in Ballarat for quite a few years now. Built a bit of a connection there with Brad Roberts, when he was doing it. Tried to come in and do a couple of things occasionally with those guys, and sort of just got a bit of a reputation about how we go about things. And they were looking to get someone in that can move things forward, I guess, instead of just as the council were looking to do it in past.
Now, DERMOTT, I don't think I've met anyone who doesn't like futsal. I think we all enjoy playing it. Even if we finish playing outdoors, we've had enough. We still love playing futsal, and the kids obviously love it as well. So we're looking forward to some competitions happening across Geelong at places like BVAC and Leisure Time coming up in the next term.
Yeah, so all competitions will start just at BVAC to start with. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to run programs quite similar to what they have been running past, just so we know that people are basically available and keen on those sort of nights. So trying not to come in and sort of reinvent the wheel too much and just sort of get things rolling, and we'll go from there.
There we go. Mondays and Wednesdays, we're talking about the men's competition. Tuesdays and Thursdays, the senior social competitions, men's, women's, mixed divisions. And also, I guess an interesting one is going to be there's a futsal secondary school comps open to schools, is it? Or is it open to just junior teams? How's that going to work on a Friday night? Is it Friday nights, yeah?
Yeah, it will be. So that'll be open to all juniors. Doesn't have to be set from a school, but it'll just be for any kids that are in secondary school. And like you were saying, Monday to Thursday will be a range of different senior nights for sort of different categories, all the way through to social men's, seniors, to the women's as well, and a mixed division in there as well.
Awesome.
But yeah, Fridays will be secondary, and something a little bit different. We're looking at running a bit of a primary school program on Saturdays to try to get some of the young ones into the sport and start them going through the soccer and futsal pyramid.
I assume that would be Saturday mornings, is that right? Or is that Saturday afternoons?
Saturday mornings, yeah.
Yeah, good. Dermot, what's the take-up been so far, and what can we do if we want to get involved?
Yeah, so take-up has been fairly good so far. Because it was count to run in past, we couldn't actually get any contact information from anyone previously. So we're basically starting from scratch. So we're pretty happy with where things are at, all things considered, and doing extra things like this. We're hoping that it picks up in the next couple of weeks and we can really start our programs with a bang. So if anyone is looking to start, they can jump on the website, which is geelongfutsal.com.au, or just email me at dermot@geelongfutsal.com.au.
We've got a huge audience, so that website will be getting flooded in the coming moments right now, Dermot.
Love it.
Tonci.
We've got Ahmed Idris has also, he's involved with the, sorry, I'm just looking at the comments section. He's also involved through the council there, and he's the, I think the venue manager.
Yeah.
Yep. So he in the comments section has actually popped the jot form there, expressions of interest, anyone that is interested. So we implore anyone who is interested in futsal to get going. And I'd love to have a kick myself, Steve, but the old knees and the hips and the joints and that just don't allow it. It's bone crunching stuff.
As long as we warm up, we just got to do a warm up. We can't just run on the court and try and start toe poking it. It's not going to work.
Absolutely. Maybe we can have our own Geelong Region Soccer Show / Football Out West, and we'll get Craig Firelight in on it as well. He could be goalkeeper. Nothing will get past his big tummy. Dermot, on that note, mate, thank you very much for popping in at such a short notice. I really appreciate it. And very, very best of luck with the new venture. And I'm sure as the popularity and the numbers increase, because futsal was huge at one stage, we can see more and more expansion happening to other centres around the region as well.
No, that'd be great. The more we can get playing this great game, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Good on you, mate. Thanks very much,
Dermot. Thank you.
All the very best for the year ahead.
Thanks for helping me, boys. See ya.
Good on you.
See ya.
DERMOTT TEBB, the managing director of the Geelong Futsal. Steve, that brings us to the end of the show. What a jam-packed show today wasn't it?
Yeah, big show, huge. We got it done in 65 minutes, so we went tight. Pretty close, but slightly over there. But enjoyed it very much. And if you want more local news, you can catch us on Bay 93.9 this Saturday at 2:30. We've got a little 10-minute segment there with Kevin on the sports program there, so you can catch us there. And people can catch the sideline view. It's called
sideline view. Yep.
Sideline view. So you can catch us there. It'll be 2:30 just for 10 minutes or so on Saturday Arvos. And we can catch you on Wednesday night.
Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. the Oz Crow Soccer Show podcast, which is the third member of our illustrious little trio. And then the Football Out West show with yourself, myself, and the very colourful Craig Filer. That's every Sunday night at 7 p.m. So there's so much football.
So much going on.
Action.
And shout out to Ahmed, who's on fire in the comments tonight. He's doing very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, if you really want to support what we are trying to do here at the Geelong Region Soccer Show, show your support by becoming a member. There's the website, www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show for as little as $15 and as much as $25 a month, which is the price of a cappuccino at the moment, if it doesn't go up per week. You become a member and you get the daily football news bulletin, which is the only football news service in Geelong covering the local scene that gets emailed to your inbox every day, every weekday, I should say. So make sure to jump on that and support what we are trying to do, because ultimately, we are here for the football community, and the football community needs to support it back. Big shout out to J Hill Books, Judy Hills, who sponsored tonight's episode, and Lara United Football Club. And Steve, next week, Elephant and Castle are the major sponsor, the episode sponsor. And you know what that means. Corio Soccer Club are our featured club, and boy, are there big things happening at Corio Soccer Club this year. Exciting things, and we're going to find out all about that in next week's show. Look forward to it.
Looking forward to it, mate. Good venue there, the Elephant, and a good club, of course, Corio Soccer Club. And Santino's getting excited already. He's hoping they're going to be coming off a win at Yarraville on Saturday in the lead up.
And also leading up to their big Australia Cup game the following day against the Eltham Redbacks. Folks, enjoy the week, enjoy this beautiful weather, and make sure to get out to your local suburban ground and catch some local football this coming weekend. Enjoy and good night.
Good night.